ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय Asatoma Satgamaya. May the Lord Gamaya from the darkness to light, that means from the ignorance to the knowledge. Mrityorma Amritangamaya, from the death to life. Namo Namaha.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates of the seminar, I just mentioned the dignitaries and request them to stand where they are and request the audience to give them a big round of applause. Now I take the privilege to welcome Dr. Jogi Patisam. So give a big round of applause to Dr. Jogi. I recognize him and I request him to stand where he is. Now I welcome the chief guest of the day, Dr. Jeffrey Blout, MD, Professor and Chairman, Department of Pediatric Neurosurgery from USA, who came all the way from on the request made by Dr. Jogi. I welcome you, sir. Dr. Buchirazu, Principal, Andhra Medical College, Visakhapatnam. I now welcome Dr. MB of Neurosurgery, Ranganaya Medical College, Patna. Neurosurgery, Andhra Medical College, Visakhapatnam. I welcome you, sir. And my other good friend and Rotarian Dr. M. Venkateswara and incoming Lottery District Governor for the year 2024 and 25. We welcome you, sir. It's my bliss to welcome Community Medicine, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. Now, welcome Dr. I. Vani, Head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KGH. Welcome and recognize Dr. Premjit from I request Dr. Premjit to stand. We welcome you and give a big round of applause. Last but not the least, I welcome and recognize Lions District 3168 District Governor Line M. Sharazu and Lions members, Rotary members, and also welcomes the principals or the head of the departments of Andhra Medical College, NRI Medical College, Raghu College of Pharmacy, Vishwanath Pharmacy College, Andhra University College of Pharmacy, Vijnana Institute of Pharmacy, Avanti Institute of Pharmacy, St. Joseph Uday Nursing, St. Joseph Udaydara School of Nursing, Lazarus School of Nursing and Academy of Life Sciences Nursing, NRI Nursing College, Bethany School of Nursing, MSR School of Nursing and Government College of Nursing, KGH Campus, Visakhapatnam. When all these eminent personalities are fascinating like a garden of knowledge, obviously there must be honeybees hailing from different domains of knowledge like medical, paramedical, Lions, Rotary and other institutions. I welcome you all once again from the bottom of my heart. Without you, this great endeavor of Dr. Jogi and Mr. Anil would not be percolated to the deserved. Though I am a non-medical and don't know how to pronounce Spina Bifida, in the very instance of this proposal, I was asked to organize and welcome you all by Dr. Jogi. I extend my heartfelt thanks and greetings to you, sir.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Ganana Antva Ganapati Bhavamahe Kavi Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannoti Vissila Sadhanam Mahaganapataye Namaha.
Om, O Ganapati, to you who are the Lord of the Ganas, we offer our sacrificial oblations. You are the wisdom of the wise and the uppermost in glory. You are the eldest Lord and is of the nature of Brahman. You are the embodiment of the sacred Pranava. Please come to us by listening our prayers and be present in the seat of this sacred sacrificial altar. Om, our prostrations to the Mahaganadipati.
Om
Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, let both of us protect each other together. May both of us enjoy together. May both of us work together. Let our study become radiant. Let there be no hatred between us. Om, peace, peace, peace.
ॐ
तच्छंयोरावृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपदये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु भेषजं सन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे सञ्चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति. We worship and pray to the Supreme Lord for the welfare of all beings. May all miseries and shortcomings leave us forever, so that we may always sing for the Lord during the holy five ceremonies. May all medical herbs grow in potency, so that all diseases may be cured. May the gods rain peace on us. May all the two-legged creatures be happy, and may all the four-legged creatures also be happy. May there be peace in the hearts of all beings in all realms. Om, peace, peace, peace.
ॐ शान्ति
शान्ति शान्ति. हरिः ॐ तत्सत्. श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
Thou great physician, I kneel before thee, since every good and perfect gift must come from thee. I pray, give skill to my hand, clear vision to my mind, kindness and sympathy to my heart. Give me singleness of purpose, strength to lift at least a part of the burden of my suffering fellow men, and a true realization of the rare privilege that is mine. Take from my heart all guile, selfishness and worldliness, that with the simple faith of a child I may rely on thee. Amen. Namaskara.
Thank you, Vandana and their team. Now the real proceeding starts. Before that, I request the chief guest, Jeff Blount and Dr. Jagiv, all these people, they came all the way from USA because they are having that liberty statue there. That liberty statue wants them, and you must be within time, you must be having these limits, and so that liberty will be break them. But in India, unfortunately, we don't have that liberty statue, so we take that liberty to speak as much as we want. But today, I request the speakers to maintain the time sense and be in their limits, and though we don't have that liberty statue. So now I request Dr. Bucharaj Garu to give his opening remarks and kindly inaugurate the session. Your time slot is 15 minutes, sir. People to kindly welcome him with a bouquet.
Actually, it's very heartening that we have two eminent pediatric neurosurgeons from US, Florida, Dr. Jogi Pattusapu and Dr. Jeffrey Blount, who came all the way from US to address you. Actually, Andhra Medical College is privileged under the neurosurgery department under Dr. Pramjit Ray and D.H. Rao, which is having a Gangadharam research cell, which was started by Jogi, supported by Jogi Pattusapu and his family since last 1 year. The main aim is to do some basic research in the field of neurosurgery and prevent some of the diseases. Like one such disease is Spina Bifida. Actually, maybe many of you know, I'm also a part of neurosciences. I'm a neurologist, so I do see many of these patients in the last 3-4 decades. We've seen patients with neural tube defects, one of which is Spina Bifida. But as you're all aware, neural tube defects are, many causes are there. Some could be genetic, some could be because of drug induced, some could be significantly prevented with simple measures like which you will be seeing in next seminar, like supplementing with folic acid. The folic acid deficiency can be because of many conditions, mostly nutritional in many of our low socioeconomic and tribal areas, or it could be because of sometimes iatrogenic. Like as a neurologist, we use most of the times, as you are aware, anti-epileptic drugs, especially sodium valproate. So, but at times we will be forced to continue these drugs, but at the same time you can supplement and prevent neural tube defects, especially the spina bifida and significant anomalies. Similarly, other drugs like which you use for rheumatology, oncology, like methotrexate, can also cause these anomalies. So, and other genetic causes, anyhow, some of them we can't prevent, but as far as possible, as you know, in any field of medicine, prevention is better than cure, because many of the anomalies may lead to a significant disability. In spite, like early screening, proper treatment also, at even the best of centers, there may be significant disability to the patients. So, which render them maybe significant disability like paraplegia, and more significant with the involvement of the urinary bladder and bowel symptoms, at times even causing hydrocephalus, mental regression and other causes which may not be treatable many times. So that causes a lot of burden on the family and also the society. So as a society, it will be our main aim, like a medical or a paramedical person, to educate the masses in how to prevent these such type of conditions, like giving just simple folic acid, especially prior to pregnancy, or improving the nutrition. Like as you all know, this study from Gangadharam Cell is on folic acid supplementing with in the salt. Already in salt we have supplementation with thyroid and thyroxine and also the iron. So now if you add folic acid, and most of the anemias also can be folic acid induced, and so it can prevent the neural tube defects. I think the other luminaries will address this issue, and it will be just to highlight the problem in the community. As you know, in India, nearly, because India is the second largest in terms of population, so the disease burden also will be more severe. Because nearly, what I heard is around 1 lakh children will be affected with this neural tube spina bifida. So some of them, or most of them, could be prevented with simple replacement of folic acid at the earliest, because most of the times when somebody becomes pregnant, as we see even in epilepsy, many times people come after 1 month or 2 months, because already the central nervous system, especially the neural tube, will already be formed, because by the time you know pregnant, most of the times is 1 month. So it should start, the counseling should start immediately after marriage or even before marriage, or in that age group. So especially most of our neurologists are very well aware of this fact. So when we have some other new drugs where we can avoid something like sodium valproate. So I think the same thing should be followed by everybody, and folic acid, anyhow, most of the obstetricians and gynecologists are well aware. They usually write iron folic acid, but by the time we have crossed the first 1-2 months. So it should start before, or even before marriage, or that's why this has to be spread into all the people, adolescents, young adults who are about to marry, so that the folic acid supplementation can prevent some of these, I can say, incurable diseases, because they cause a lot of disability and burden on the family. With these few words, I once again congratulate the organizers for giving me this opportunity, so that we can spread this message both in the medical, paramedical, and also through NGOs like Lions, Rotary, and their contribution to the society is quite high. So that we can prevent some of this burden in the society, so that it gives if you prevent, because now we have only small families, if even one child is affected, it may cause a lot of problems to both the family and also the society. So with these few words, I conclude and I inaugurate this seminar on spina bifida. I hope the message on prevention of some of these conditions like spina bifida will be heard by everybody, both paramedical and other people. And I also thank the press and electronic media who is covering this session. Thank you, one and all.
the thing, and you have given that all your experience and everything you have exhibited. Really, on behalf of all, we thank you and give a big round of applause to Dr. Krishna. Now I request Dr. Jogi Garu to kindly come and give a memento to Dr. Puchiraj Garu. I request the students to come and occupy the front seats, please. The speakers will have a josh by seeing you. Usually we used to have a feeling that suppose if any person is invited to speak for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we calculate so many things, how much time it takes to reach the destination, how much time they will allot, and is it worthwhile to go there, and all these things. But I surprised from last so many days when Dr. Garu told about that Jeff Blount and that he is coming all the way from US to speak and address us. And then I thought definitely he may give them some 1 hour or 1.5 hours. But here they have allotted only 20 minutes, and for 20 minutes coming all the way from US and all, really I surprised, and we have to learn a lot. And so it's not what we talk, but how we talk that makes a great thing. So how he talks that we would like to see. Now with a big thundering applause and standing ovation, I request all to invite that chief guest of the day, Dr. Jeff Blount.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next 20 minutes. And the story is a little bit of my story, and it pertains to this disorder that we're all here to talk about this morning. It's a great pleasure to come here and talk to you. It's my 3rd visit to India. I have great friends here, and I am making more friends here, and so I am very grateful. You have a beautiful culture that fascinates me, that engrosses me every time I have the opportunity to come here. Just between the airport, the hotel, a brief breakfast with Yogi, his lovely wife, and the convention center here, my senses were just on fire. I love my friends. Yogi, I would literally go halfway around the world for Yogi. He is a wonderful man. He has shown me so much perseverance in the face of difficulty, adapting and overcoming when faced with a challenge, finding a route to goodness, keeping his faith as the center of his life. This is a wonderful man, and he has much to teach us. And Yogi, I appreciate you very, very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak to you wonderful people. So I hope we can get slides, mainly just because I want to show you pictures. But this is a little bit of my personal journey with this disorder. And this disorder is a disorder that I trained in Toronto at the Hospital for Sick Children after a bunch of other training to do medicine and neurosurgery. So I trained at the Hospital for Sick Children, and that's a place where they get a lot of brain tumors referred in. And I don't know if you know, but brain tumors are the second most common tumor of childhood. But that wasn't even so much what lit me on fire when I was coming out of Toronto, but it was epilepsy. Epilepsy was really lit me on fire, because epilepsy is a disease that we've made big inroads in over the last 2 decades, right? It used to be that 1/3 of kids who didn't respond to medicines were just out of luck. We got slides, yay. Well, what we learned, and this is not a morning about epilepsy, but what we learned was that the kids that don't respond to medicines, I can hold it, you guys, thank you, you guys have been wonderful, that the kids who don't respond oftentimes have structural abnormalities, and that's what surgeons are all about, is structural abnormalities. Find the structural abnormality, take it out, and guess what? We can fix kids with epilepsy who we couldn't used to fix. So let me just plant that idea in your mind, then we're going to stop on epilepsy. So I came out of Toronto red hot to do epilepsy, and I came to Birmingham, Alabama, where I had a great mentor in the name of a guy named Jerry Oakes. And Dr. Oakes had committed his life and his career to this disorder, which is dysraphism, which is a fundamental developmental anomaly of the spinal system, the brain, the spinal cord. And our Spina Bifida clinic was on Wednesday afternoons, and to be frank, at the beginning I used to dread it. It was truly the hardest part of the week. The clinic was jammed full. The patients had, problems with their urinary bladders, they had problems with bowel, they had all these different problems. It was troubling, it was a little bit depressing, it was upsetting. I felt like we didn't really have, with epilepsy, we could take the tissue out and boom, the seizures went away. With spina bifida, every intervention that we have is palliative. We can put a shunt in and take care of their hydrocephalus. We can make their walking somewhat better. We can do a number of things, but everything is palliative. Do you all know what palliative is? Palliative means you don't fix the fundamental problem. It means you treat the symptoms. So spina bifida, the first part of my journey was one that it was one of duty. It wasn't one of love. But then I ran into a great colleague of mine named Hobson, Betsy Hobson, who's an absolutely yogi-esque type person whose faith is at the center of her life, and she made spina bifida her calling. And Betsy and I gradually grew together in spina bifida, and I've come to love this disease and the people and the families that support these children deeply into the bottom of my soul. So I've really worked hard at trying to put the better part of my academic life and my professional life into those two disease processes, epilepsy and spina bifida. So I worked for the Spina Bifida Association. I became the chair of their professional advisory committee. We've coordinated a bunch of meetings. We're putting on another World Congress in the US here in the spring. We've written a bunch of papers. I'm good. I'm really good. I'm totally good. There we go. So, all right, so part one of my journey was going from a place of duty to a place of affection. And I share that with you because you will come across hardship in your medical journeys. No matter what you're doing, you will come across things that you find difficult, demanding, unrewarding, challenging, that will take you to the brink of what you can do. And what I invite you to do is I invite you to pause and take a break at that moment and recognize the human challenge in that moment and the human struggle in that moment, the human difficulty of struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with, because I guarantee you, for whatever hardship it is for you, for that family, for that child, complex medical illness has tremendous social consequences, and one of the first and foremost is isolation, alienation, loneliness, depression. These are difficult problems. So I invite you, when you're in that space, to look at these difficulties and find your place, find your mission. Okay, so from duty now to science. And that's what I want to talk with you about for the next few minutes. And then I want to finish with the notion of advocacy. Because I'm a surgeon and I love to operate. I love science. Science guides what we do. Science makes us the difference between us and the shaman and in the 19th century in our country, the people that didn't use science. Science is the core of modern medicine, of modern surgery. We should all love it. But at the same time, it takes us to a place of advocacy. All right, we're showing way too much biochemistry. All right, so the key points of this talk, this has a life of its own. The slides are moving on their own. I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I want to do, this is a summary talk, and there's way more slides here than I have time to. But I want to show you, right now, we can take the 5 key clinical points in spinal dysraphism, which is another way of saying spina bifida, and look at what the 5 points are right now. So what's new and what's old? This lovely picture. Anybody know where it is? Stratford-on-Avon, right where William Shakespeare was born. That's the church in which he was married and went. And next to it, this gorgeous, lovely modern sculpture. What's new and what's old? 5 points. Neural tube defects are not gone, they're not going away. Folate is absolutely at the center, and we're going to circle back to that again and again. And I hope to light some of you on fire, because you guys can make the difference. You are in India where you can make the difference. If we fortify with folic acid, we will reduce the incidence of spina bifida massively. And in so doing, you will reduce suffering. I have said it to my friends and my colleagues, if we can win one country to fortify, we will prevent more disease than all of us, everyone in this room, can treat or cure in a lifetime. You can do the arithmetic. If you work 50 hours a week and you have a 30-year career in front of you, you can do the arithmetic, how many patients you can see. It won't come close. You'll be 2 zeros off in terms of magnitude if we can fortify in one country. Okay, so intrauterine myelomeningocele closure, the so-called MOMS trial, where they actually do in utero surgery in North America and increasing more places around the world. That lit everybody up, and it is very exciting, it is very new, it is very different, it is very promising. but it is too expensive and too focused and too many exclusion criteria for it to be a major public health intervention. There's lots of adults now alive with spina bifida, and we need to be thinking about how we're going to provide care for them. About 300,000 births around the world affected by this disease right now. In North America, it's about 2,500 per year, and it's higher. Higher in other places. The baseline rate with folic acid fortification is 8 per 10,000, okay? There are places in Ethiopia right now, cities, small areas in Addis Ababa, 200 per 10,000, okay? 8 is the baseline. 200 is the number in Addis right now. Why? Because there's not folic acid fortification. There are other nutritional challenges, right? How do we ethically say that that's okay when we have the capacity? When we have the capacity to fix this and do this. So this is a complex disease. This is a disease, we're not diving deep into the genetics, but what this graph shows is this is a disease of both genetics and epigenetic factors. Epigenetic factors are those factors that impact phenotypic expression. In other words, what you see in the environment. You have the gene and you get enough dietary stuff. You have the gene and you're exposed to this. You have the gene and there's big maternal obesity, particularly in North America. So the genes are central, but epigenetic factors. Folate is ground zero of this. Folate metabolism is the problem primarily in spina bifida. About 92% of spina bifida is folic acid dependent. We heard earlier in the introduction about how sodium valproate can adversely and can cause more spina bifida. Well, guess how it does it, guys? Via folic acid metabolism inhibition, right? So folate is the ground zero of this, okay? Methylation of specific genomic DNA in the folate processing pathway, and one specific pathway is receiving a lot of attention, but guess what? We don't have the genetic answer yet. We have great ideas, we have great scientists. Maybe one of you will gain the key insight, but until we have the insight into exactly what it is, this is the answer. Krista Kreider is an epidemiologist. She's not a physician, she's an epidemiologist, and she made one of the great insights here. She found that the prevalence rate, of spina bifida is directly dependent upon maternal red blood cell folic acid. That's called dose dependency, and for those of you interested in pharmacology, dose dependency is the key step to show effectiveness of a medical intervention, okay? That's the data, okay? She repeated a study that had been a small study that had been done earlier in Wales and found dose dependency between maternal folic acid levels. In other words, you get the folic acid into the moms, get it into the women of reproductive age, get it into the societal food sources, or if you're really clever and innovative, you recognize new vehicles like salt. Why? Because some places in the world, they don't have centralized grain, rice, and corn processing. People in communities, neighborhoods grow their own food and they don't have centralized processing. Other places have very visceral connections to their grain. Grain is the motherland crop. Don't be coming in from afar, Mr. American guy, and telling me what to do with my grain. Salt doesn't. Salt is something everybody uses, and people, for the most part, don't have as much of a visceral or cultural affinity to it. We largely solve the problem of goiter with iodized salt, and this may be a vehicle as well. Okay, so in the United States, about 50% of pregnancies are planned. It's different in other places in the world. Folic acid supplementation in grains resulted in about 90% of women in North America having levels at a sufficient enough level to drive the rate down, and that's why in North America, US and Canada, the rates range between about 8 and 10 per 10,000. Other places in the world, it's widely variable. Other things can impact folic acid status, and those are the majority of the things. Okay, so I'm going to take you just for a couple minutes for those of you through some that have interest in medicine. We're going to go quickly through some of our management issues and some of the things that we do to take care of these children, because some of you, this may be a bit of an abstract concept. What is spina bifida? Well, that's spina bifida, friends. There's 3 pictures of the varying lesions that can occur, the varying abnormalities. And I'm here to tell you that as striking as the blister-like abnormality is on the lower part of the back, and they can be really impressive, they can be really striking, This is the tip of the iceberg, right? The biggest problems and the most challenging problems actually are the ones in the brain. And I'm going to get really bold here and try and do something. Brain tumors and have a wide variety of cerebral palsy and other problems. But the most isolating problem that I think I take care of are these kids that struggle with continence. And as a result, they end up socially isolated. In other cultures, the families end up cast aside. So this is very, very damaging, very, very devastating illness. And as we looked at this, as we sort of reflected on this, we thought, you know, this is really not defensible for us to know that folic acid works the way that it does. We have 30 years of data, friends, 30 years. The Medical Research Council of the United Kingdom published Class 1 evidence. Do you all know what Class 1 evidence is? What's the difference between Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 evidence? This is an important concept, what's happening in medicine now. It pertains to the quality of our observations. We all want to do work that's based in science. We all want to do work that helps people. And if we do things that help people, when I do an operation, I want my operation to help the kid. The parents want the operation to help the kid. That point of view leads to bias. And bias is just what we bring to it that impacts the outcome. It creeps in. So there's lots of different ways that bias creeps in. So various levels of evidence control for bias. So there's study design and the way that data is handled and manipulated that all impact bias. Bottom line is we have 30 years of Class 1 evidence, the strongest medical evidence that there is. The Class 1 evidence has shown us convincingly that folic acid prevents spina bifida. How can we, as just and civil societies, whether it be Indian, Ethiopian, Chinese, surprise, most of Western Europe doesn't fortify. Why? They embrace a different strategy. They embrace a different policy, universal care and termination of affected pregnancies instead of fortification. This is not a political statement about termination. This is just a recognition that we have the capacity to fortify. We have the capacity. We have a science-proven entity, and we're only using it in a small portion. My colleague who was going to come here, Dr. Vijaya Kancherla, is one of the best epidemiologists in the world. She's based out of Emory and the CDC in North America, and she published a paper about 3 years ago. And that paper said that how much do you think of the world's burden of spina bifida are we presenting right now? 10%, 20%, 30%, 70%? It's about 25% of the world's burden right now is currently being prevented. 25%. How can we justify that? How can we justify that we know that 75% of the world's burden is treatable? Normal tissue. We surgically develop this. This operation normally takes about an hour and 15 minutes. We very carefully dissect the levels, defining and rolling up the abnormal tissue, kind of like rolling it up into like a bond, right? Rolling it up and stitching it together, just like this. We don't lose very much blood. We try and reapproximate what nature failed to do. Nature failed to roll the tube up. So we do so. And then we close it up and it looks something like that when we're done. So that we can take, boy, I held my breath when I turned around and looked at that slide. So we can take something on the left that looks like that and convert it to something on the right that looks like that. Okay, so that looks a whole lot better, but guess what? Remember what I said? These are palliative interventions, right? These are interventions that treat the symptoms. So the back no longer has a huge blister, but the legs don't work, the bladder doesn't work, all of these other things. Most importantly for us, the brain fluid builds up. These kids need a lot of treatment. There are a variety of different ways, and I don't want to dive too deep into what all the different ways are. of treating the hydrocephalus, but these are all things that need to be treated. Other parts of the brain are malformed. The back of the brain is malformed. The brainstem is malformed. There's definable, visible abnormalities. These are not fixable problems. Remember what I said, palliation versus prevention. Where we close that spine up so nicely, well, guess what? It scars in, and that can get tethered. Tethering is a problem. In utero closure has changed things, but guess what? It hasn't solved the problem. Lots and lots of new centers in North America. We've evolved into 2 different techniques. Some are open and some use a scope to close. Advantages and disadvantages to each. This is getting much of the attention of the scientific literature in North America. My good friend Jay Wellens, who was my partner for quite some time and just wrote a book, wrote a very nice review paper on this. And this is what it looks like. So there's lots of things going on in scientific spina bifida. But what I really wanted to take you to was the part of spina bifida that has to do with fortification. The standardized set of slides that our group has put together. Gadsby was organized by a bunch of neurosurgeons because we felt so strongly about this issue. We're now joined by some of the best advocacy, epidemiology, developmental health, and healthcare policy people in the world. Our mission is to provide science-based advocacy and an infrastructure for science-based advocacy, not so that we can march around the world telling you all what to do, telling people what to do, but so that if you are convinced by this data that this would be good for your populations, we can partner with you and provide you the things you don't have time to do. My colleagues in Ethiopia work about an 11 to 12 hour day every day. Right? They start at 6 or 7 in the morning and they're still going at 6 or 7 in the evening, right? They work hard. There's not enough of them. And guess what they do on Saturdays, friends? My neurosurgery training program is one of the better ones in North America, and I tell the fellow candidates we'll close 15 myelomeningoceles in a year. The Ethiopians close 15 every Saturday. That's what they do. They don't get paid for it. They come in at Saturday, 8 in the morning, they're still there at 7 o'clock at night, doing that little operation that I just showed you. The notion is we provide help for the Ethiopian neurosurgeons or the Indian neurosurgeons or whoever else finds this information compelling and wants to talk to your regional or state or whatever level health ministers that this is an important, cost-effective, safe intervention. We can bring to whomever is interested, immediate contact with world-class epidemiologists. We can bring to you a slide set. This is yours for free for the asking. And you can take this slide set and go in and show your health ministers a well-done slide set. It doesn't advance. Here we go. There we go. A well-done slide set that is standardized around the world that shows the key components of the argument about folic acid. Here's the principles. Spina bifida is a common and devastating birth injury. Most of it's associated with low folic acid levels, and it can be prevented to a very large degree by fortification of fundamental grains, wheat, corn, depending on the culture, rice, and maybe salt. You have people in this country working on salt, leading the world, I might add, on salt. Folic acid fortification is proven safe, cost-effective, and there's really a prompt need. These are the standardized points. These are the points we're trying to make in every domain. We provide these slides, and these basically give people the infrastructure that they need because they're too busy taking care of people with head trauma and tumors and things like that. This way we provide the slides, we provide the background, we provide the papers, And if there are complex conversations to have, I can get a CDC world-class epidemiologist on a Zoom call. These are the fundamental concepts. Countries with mandatory folic acid fortification in place have substantially lower prevalences of spina bifida F. It's been shown since the 1990s to be highly effective. It's cost effective, and yet over 100 countries still need to implement. Mandatory fortification has resulted in elevation of blood folic acid levels, and guess what? As a result, every country that has fortified has dropped the rate. Only one country has fortified and went back, and that was Egypt as part of it was more of a political than a public health reason for it. Strong evidence for safety, strong evidence for effectiveness, no scientific evidence for some of the adverse claims. It's very, very cost effective. It saves tremendous amounts of money, and most importantly, it saves human suffering. These are the places that don't fortify, and so this is the concept. We, as a group, embrace advocacy. So my story is one from duty to science to advocacy. And I think that ultimately, this ball is going to be in your side of the court. You guys are the people that can make the difference. This is the data. You guys are the people that can move this. You guys are the people that can make the impact here and move the wheel forward as far as folic acid fortification for prevention of this. And hopefully attenuation of some of the global burden of this terrible, difficult illness. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come here. I apologize for the slides. It's just a Mac thing. I apologize for the distraction of that. I really value the opportunity to come here. You've been very attentive. I'd be happy to take any questions at whatever time to perform.
This is Annapurna to kindly come and give a memento to Dr. Jeff Blount. I request Jeff Blount to come onto the dais. By seeing the passion and by hearing the Jeff Blount, I am recollecting a parable. A boy asked a wise man, "Tell me, sir, in which field could I make a great career?" The wise man said with a smile, "Be a good human being. There is a lot of opportunity in this area and very little competition. So be a good human being like our chief guest and our Dr. Jogi, and spread that goodness to everywhere." Thank you. Always in all this show.
Thank you very much, sir. That's a good exercise. Respected elders, senior colleagues in the audience, and my dear friends, I deem it a matter of great privilege and honor to be associated with this eloquent and exalted scientific session. And I don't want to waste time. I would like to start straight. See, this is a panel discussion on spina bifida, where the speakers will be Professor Dr. G. Buchirazu, Additional Director of Medical Education and Principal, Andhra Medical College. Unfortunately, because of other work pressures, he has to leave. Next, I invite, the invitees are already on the dais. Sometimes you are in for some surprises. Spina bifida are split cord malformations. We should thank ourselves. We don't have one. And we should thank our parents. They gave birth to us without all these kinds of problems. And finally we should thank God. But there is a set of people dispersed all over the world, including our country, our state of Andhra Pradesh, and our district of Visakhapatnam, who are not so lucky. and they are born with these kinds of malformations, which leads to a great burden, medical, social, financial, and in many ways. In this regard, my first question to Dr. Fadimadhavi. Dr. Fadimadhavi is the Assistant Professor of Preventive and Social Medicine and Epidemiology, Andhra Medical College. Any big study in the world happens with epidemiology, followed by medical and then surgical, and finally philosophical. Madam Dr. Fadimadhavi, based on the global perspective, as far as this particular issue is concerned, how is India impacted and involved as far as the split cord malformations? In other words, I request you to summarize the epidemiology of Spina Bifida in India. Please.
Yes, sir. First of all, I would like to say good morning to all the respected dignitaries who occupy the dais and all the students and my dear colleagues. And coming to my question, maternal use of periconceptional folic acid derivatives reduces the risk of folic acid neural tube defects. These neural tube defects are severe and often leads to fatal fetal outcomes which can be prevented with folic acid supplementation. Globally, footprint fortification with folic acid rises the serum folate levels, especially among women of reproductive age group. A large population-based cohort study in China showed daily supplementation of 400 micrograms of folic acid reduces the risk of neural tube defects by 80%. And coming to our Indian statistics, the prevalence of neural tube defects in India was 7.48 per 1000 live births, whereas globally it was 2 per 1000 live births. It can be reduced to 0.6 per 1000 live births as observed in developed countries like USA and Canada with folic acid supplementation. In 1998, it became mandatory in USA to fortify food grain products with folic acid, which led to the reduction of neural tube defects by 35%. By 2017, almost 60 countries have adopted the policy of mandatory fortification of food grain products like wheat flour and rice. Globally, we are able to prevent only 25% of the preventable neural tube defects. And more than 100 countries, including India, currently do not have neural tube NTD prevention program, which can made mandatory through fortification of most commonly consumed staples like wheat flour and rice. Another most important challenge in our country is dietary diversity. There is no single staple which is consumed by the entire population in our country uniformly. As 80% of the people in our country consume salt, as salt is highly soluble, stable throughout the year and consumed by all sections of the community irrespective of their socio-economic status, both rural and urban people, this can be chosen as an ideal vehicle for fortification with folic acid to bring down the burden of neural tube defects. There are few studies which have shown that folic acid is highly stable, easily absorbed and can be added to iodized salt. And there are few ongoing studies which are showing that impact of double fortified and quadruple fortified salt on serum folate levels of reproductive age group women. Hence, with this background, I am proud to announce that our Andhra Medical College, in collaboration with Professor P.R.J. Gangadharam Research and Academic Cell attached to the Department of Neurosurgery, in consultation with Rollins School of Public Health, Emory University, have initiated a pilot project of supplementing folic acid fortified salt to all the households of selected tribal villages of Alluri Sitaramaraju district, and for this project we have got a lot of support from the district collector. And we have distributed double fortified salt containing folic acid with iodine to few villages, and quadruple fortified salt fortified with iron, B12 and folic acid with iodine to few villages. The main aim of our project is to see or to measure the impact of supplementation of 10 grams of salt containing 400 micrograms of folic acid on serum folate levels of reproductive age group women at the end of 1 month and 3 months period. And this study will provide evidence whether this 400 micrograms of folic acid supplementation would lead to increase in the serum folate levels among reproductive age group women or not. The results obtained from this study, we hope that they will prompt policy discussions and can prevent neural tube defects and can implement, it provides opportunity for the government to implement mandatory fortification of salt with folic acid, thereby reducing the childhood mortality, morbidity and disability associated with neural tube defects. We are highly excited and looking forward to see that mandatory fortification of salt with folic acid can reduce neural tube defects in our country. Thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Panimadhavi. When we come across a case of split cord malformation or neural tube defects, we see a case of lumbar myelomeningocele, myelocele, or syringomyelocele. Various kinds of names have been given to these spinal cord malformations based upon the contents of the sac or contents of the swelling. Now, we as neurosurgeons or clinicians, we see only after the child has been born, but there are a set of people, in fact, they are the clinicians who see these cases even before the child is born, when the fetus is in utero. Right now, we have with us Professor I. Vani, Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Andhra Medical College. Professor Vani, how often do you come across the issue of split cord malformations in utero as well as after birth?
So thank you very much for the question. Hope I am audible. Good morning all of you. So as an obstetrician, we come across 3 types of situations. The first situation is, this is a pregnant woman and she had her anomaly scan done at 18-20 weeks and that revealed a spina bifida or any other neural tubal defect. So this woman now roams here and there with the scan report and she is fully confused, the couple is fully confused on what to do. Already pregnancy is around 20 weeks. So this is the common situation we encounter. The second type of situation we encounter, the woman coming from rural area or from tribal area and she is already late in pregnancy or already in labor and we have found that the spine was not well formed and she is having a spina bifida and the fetus is having a problem. So here our intention would be to deliver the baby with as minimal trauma as possible. So that is our major concern in the second situation. The third situation we encounter are the couple approaching us after an event has happened, after the baby was born with spina bifida, to ask us regarding what is the fate of my future pregnancies. So this is the third set of scenario we generally encounter. So in all these cases, we need to counsel. So counseling is the most important in all the 3 scenarios I've talked about just now. And we would like to address the third scenario as the most important one. So because they have come with an advice. So we here as an obstetrician, it is our primary duty to make a good prenatal counseling onto how folic acid perinatal supplementation or periconceptional supplementation will be the most useful primary preventive strategy to reduce the burden of spina bifida in our country. So this is from my side up to now, sir.
Or definitive treatment is elusive for a possible treatment for the child, and the child has been taken to a neurosurgeon. So right now we have a neurosurgeon, Dr. M.V.V. Shekhar, who is a professor of neurosurgery, Rangaraya Medical College, Kakinada. Very recently he has been transferred, but before that he was a part of faculty, Andhra Medical College, and he was actively involved in this particular study of salt fortification from the time of its inception. Professor Shekhar, in the neurosurgical perspective, can you kindly enlighten the audience regarding what exactly is the spina bifida in a simple terms and how you go about it?
Thank you, Professor Hagirao. Good morning, all, esteemed guests and my dear students. Yes, we have heard about the epidemiological aspect, about the prenatal or gynecological perceptions, about the counseling and all. But it is actually we, the neurosurgeons, who will be dealing with the cases who are already born with this defect. Students, you may not be aware, we when working in the hospital will be suddenly seeing the parents bringing their children, mostly the grandparent and the grandmother and the father, because the mother who has delivered the baby will be still in the OBG ward. The newborn who is just born and delivered in the labor room with even the vernix and all the very delicate skin, just not even days, 0 hours, immediately after birth from the labor room, the newborn will be brought to the neurosurgical ward, seeking the advice and treatment for that baby. Imagine a newborn. Some of these manifestations, clinical manifestations will be a wide variety, a spectrum. Maybe a simple swelling over the back with intact skin, or a completely opened up defect, exposing the spinal cord, exposing the contents, some of the nerve roots, and even sometimes we see the cerebrospinal fluid, that is the CSF, coming out through the open wound. And in addition to that open defect, some of the children who are unfortunate will be having complete loss of movement in both the lower limbs, that is paraplegia. Just imagine a child newly born without any movement in both the legs and some swelling or open defect at the back. Just imagine the agony of the how much frightened it will be for the parents and the family. And it will be very difficult for us to treat such babies, because once babies are born with this defect, we have no other option but to close the defect if it is open, and to repair the opening and make it a better thing if it is a closed one. But in both the cases, the babies will be either hours to days old. It is very difficult to put even in an intracath to secure a bloodline to the baby also, small baby weighing 2.5 to 3 kgs, securing veins for them, giving anesthesia to these babies and operating on these babies. Suppose we want to operate on the back, the baby need to be kept in the prone position. Just imagine how much difficult it is. And one thing, we are not sure how the baby is going to improve. because the neurological defect, only we can close the superficial defect. We can give a closure, but function of the neurological system, we may not bring back. So even if the child survives, it will be a very crippling or lifelong dependent situation for some of the children. So this is the spectrum, this is how we see, and in some of the cases, even if we want to give a complete skin cover, the skin may be very deficient. Sometimes we see huge defects, maybe up to 5 to 10 centimeters or more. Then we need to take the help of even plastic surgeons. They use rotation flaps. So it is not a single surgeon or single doctor's management. It is a team effort. So this much will be the complicated treatment. So always it is said and understood, prevention is better than cure. So that is the very purpose why we have been focusing on this. The prevention of this will avoid all these situations. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shekhar. So you all heard, there are a few situations in life where prevention is certainly better than cure, and this is one such. Complaints are easy to make, diagnosis is not so difficult, but the treatment is transient. Ultimately, you turn philosophical. There are no vaccines for this. Only possible genetic way of going or nutritional way of going. Nutritional supplementation, suspected genetic defects, if there are any, try to correct them. We don't know, genetic engineering, maybe in future, but right now, at this stage, I don't think so. Finally, to sum up everything, if we look at the future, does it look bleak? Does it look optimistic? Or does it look bright? Can we ever think of eradication of this particular problem, like we have eradicated polio, eradicated smallpox? Is it a optimistic way of thinking or just a Panglossian, unachievable, utopian concept? Only time decides. Thank you very much.
I request all the panelists and the moderators also to stay back. They want to have a group photo. big round of applause to ourselves. Now, why Katappa killed that Bahubali? It commences. So now the Katappa is none other than Jaggi, Dr. Jaggi. Please come and moderate the second panel.
Dear friends, wow, it's a wonderful day because all of you are here and all the people who worked very hard to make this happen. I'm so proud to be a part of all this. It's wonderful to come and witness your energy. Before we start session 2, I would like to give you something. You've been sitting patiently and very quietly and way in the back. You can take just a moment to stand up and stretch your legs and stretch your arms so you can get your blood moving, and that way you'll feel better just for the second part. Everybody stand up, please. Pretend it's a standing ovation for me. I'll take an early standing ovation. How's that? Sometimes the ladies are ahead of us. Done, that's enough. Friends, unfortunately, the Vice Principal of Andhra University College of Pharmaceutical Sciences called me this morning, so he will not be attending, though his name is there. So we'll have 2 speakers going against each other, with each other, for each other. My immediate left is Dr. Venkateswar Rao, pediatrician par excellence from Vijayanagaram. I have seen many of his YouTube videos. He projects himself very well and speaks. He's also the district governor, incoming district governor for the Rotary clubs in this area in Andhra Pradesh. So he brings with him many, many friends and a lot of power and a lot of wisdom and knowledge. So please welcome Dr. Venkateswar Rao. You've been hearing all morning long Sri Ramesh Garu. He is the main in charge of the Lions clubs of the area in Andhra Pradesh and this surrounding areas. And Dr. Usha Garamma, she's also part of the Lions clubs team. We met several years ago before the pandemic and we couldn't do much, but single-handedly you can see what he's doing today on stage, managing the whole show, including managing me. He's doing a wonderful job. Welcome, sir. This next few minutes, friends, we'll be talking about how people who are not necessarily neurosurgeons or obstetricians or pediatricians getting involved. Sir, I'm telling you now, you're not a pediatrician at this moment. You're a very nice Rotarian. So how can Rotary clubs and Lions clubs, NGOs, and such organizations come together? By way of introduction, polio used to be about 100,000 babies affected in America per year until the Rotarians, the March of Dimes, Spina Bifida Association of America, other associations then with the CDC helped make polio go away. Even in India, it's gone away. The power of the Lions clubs is to mobilize and motivate all of you, involve you, educate you, as has been happening today, and have all of you join us in making the next few steps and make India, as you saw on that map, which is not yet currently on the folic acid prevention pathway, to make it good and strong. What I'm going to do is ask our gentlemen questions and make sure that they say things that will bring out more discussion point. I'll leave it open to you two gentlemen first. Based on the current understanding, what we heard today, etc., how can your organization participate? How can your organization take it to the next level? How can your organization help us reach the goal? Ramesh Garu, we'll let Dr. Venkateswar go first. This is the first time for him to speak. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. The Rotary District 3020, there are nearly 5,000 members and almost 80 clubs are there. We are bringing greetings from the district 302 for this seminar on Spina Bifida. I have two opportunities now, being the RA district officer as well as the pediatrician. Because I used to see many cases of spina bifida cases in the early parts of my practice. Now definitely the incidence has come down, but still cases are there in the remote rural areas and the tribal areas as well. Everybody knows actually in the year 1985, in World Health Organization, many countries in the world, they hands up. It is very difficult to eradicate polio. That is the first time the Rotary International has come forward. We are there to eradicate the polio from the earth. Now we are very close to eradicate polio. Only in the 1985, nearly 350,000 polio cases every year we used to see with the disabled cases. Now hardly we see only four or five cases, that too in the countries like Afghanistan and the Pakistan. So we are very much close to eradicate the polio from the earth. Already India has eradicated. This is all because of the involvement of the members like us, so that we can take the right information to the rural areas and the public areas through our network of the people. So that even now also, there are two countries in the world, they are actually participating in the eradication of spina bifida. One is the Colombia, Rotary clubs in the Colombia, and the Rotary clubs in the Malaysia. They are eagerly eradicating they are participating in the eradication of spina bifida from their country. So by educating the people, by fortification, by involving the resources for the fortification of the food ingredients like rice, wheat, maize, corn, whatever it may be, including salt also. Among all these things now, salt is the ideal media so that everybody uses. As Madam said, Madhavi Garu, we have different diversified in the eating habits also. Some people they eat wheat, some people eat rice, mostly we eat rice, that to refined rice. So because of the refinification, the most of the folic acid in the rice, with our cooking pattern also, it has come down. Fortunately, we are also educating the people the other source of the folic acid, like food, which we routinely take. So from the other sources of folic acid like green leaf vegetables, egg, lentils, beans, like that also we have to promote all the things. Second thing is, most of the time what happened now, especially girls, we are not prepared psychologically and physically for the marriage, conception, delivery, etc. That is why the incidence of cesarean is also more now because of the unpreparedness of the most of the women in our, especially young women. So physically means you have to do exercise for the normal delivery process. Psychologically means you have to prepare everything, especially what are the foods which increases the nutrition aspect of the food. The main difficult part of the now is what we are facing now is most of the women having the maternal diseases complicated pregnancy, like they have diabetes, hypothyroidism, hypertension, and other complications, epilepsy complicating pregnancies. Some women are taking sodium valproate or other anti-epileptic drugs or some anti-cancer drugs, like that. No, there are so many other involvement of other pharmaceutical agents which interferes with the absorption of the folic acid. That is also one of the factors. So we have to educate the girls, especially now the audience, most of the audience are from the medical side, from the nursing side and the pharmacy side. So that you have to escalate this information to the public, to your families first. So what are the sources of vitamin B9, that is folic acid. So that you have to increase the serum levels and plasma levels. The most important thing is red cell folate levels are most important, even though if you have normal serum folic acid levels. So that is why you have to build the stores in the body, so that you have to adapt good what we call eating habits. That is so from the Rotary point of sight, sir, we will escalate this information to the rural and semi-urban areas because we have 5,000 members, that is a powerful 5,000 members, so that most of the information we can calculate, like polio, like measles, like non-communicable disease. Now, Rotary is mainly involving in the non-communicable disease also. This is also one part of the non-communicable diseases where we can prevent the spina bifida. Thank you.
After hearing this name, Spina Bifida, how to pronounce it, and I used to browse in Google, and so in slow motion also I heard. After that, I discussed with our doctors and who are in Lionism. They also told that problem is not much in our area, but according to you and according to the browsing history and everything, I used to get there is a problem in this, but luckily Dr. Venkateswara Rao and our team, because he belongs to Visakhapatnam and we belongs to Visakhapatnam. Our Lions district, it comprises erstwhile Visakhapatnam, Vizianagaram, Vizag and 2 constitutional areas of East Godavari. As Dr. Vani told, and luckily we are having Alluri Sitaram Raju in our Lions district 3168 territorial, and Usha Raju, our governor, though she is not a doctor, her daughter and her son-in-laws are doctors, and our incoming doctor, Dr. Gopal Rao, he is a colleague to Dr. Venkateswara Rao, and he is from Narsipatnam, where the problem is much in that particular area, the tribal area. The succeeding governor is also Professor Prasadan. I am sure and I am assuring you, definitely we will do our best from Lions district with the help of Dr. Venkateswara Rao. And fortunately, the incoming third vice president is also from India, international president for the Lions clubs. For the entire 210 countries, AP Singh from Calcutta, he is going to represent in the year 2024-25. So what I feel is, the thought what we, the resolution or what the thought what we made, whenever, by the time Dr. Venkateswara Rao becomes the district governor, definitely we will have the more awareness about this, and Dr. Prasad will be the governor and AP Singh will be the international president. So definitely whenever the forum comes in, we will put this proposal to make a resolution on this, and the international help also in what way we can get it. All these things we will discuss in length and breadth. I am sure and I am assuring you, definitely your endeavors will be fulfilled in course of time. Though the beginning is small, I am sure as Swami Vivekananda said, every success begins with a small beginning. And so we made that beginning today. I am assured by 2024-25, definitely this area will be away from this problem. And here luckily we are having that Academy of Life Sciences. That correspondent is Vijay Kumar Raju. He is the international director and LCF trustee also. He is having a key position in that international family. And like that, we are having another friend, NRI Nursing College principal, Seba Francis. She is also very close to us. And whenever this need arises, I request these institutes, especially I am not ignoring other people, because I know these two. I am telling all the volunteers, you extend your support to us. Definitely, right from this district 3168, comprising Srikakulam, Vizianagaram and Vizag districts, definitely we will do it and we will prove definitely Dr. Jogi's endeavors are not wasted. So once again, thank you for giving this, and I assure it you on behalf of our district governor also, Usha Rajgaru.
Friends, we have some more questions on spina bifida. Second thing, friends, Jeff Blount grabbed me last year. I think it was last year when we talked about this. And then he grabbed one person of Indian origin. I live in America for 50-some years. So he grabbed one person of Indian origin. I grabbed 2 more. They know thousands upon thousands. Now our army, look at this hall, is filled with an army full of all of you who now want to do this, okay? And thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Your standing ovation, a World Health Assembly Resolution 75th, to say folic acid should be mandatory around the world. Just like the salt you're eating now has iodine, which is mandatory, you're getting it every day, so you don't have thyroid problems. All of us are getting it every day. Like that, that resolution was put forth, sir, by the Columbia team. I came here, and Jeff came here, Dr. Blount came here, because we need India to sign on that WHO resolution to say, this is important. Friends, Mera Bharat Mahan hai. All of you are the main great people. 75th anniversary of India is coming up. Friends, if India joins this resolution, because of you two gentlemen and your supporters and your friends, it will make a huge impact in Geneva. They will not listen to me, they will not listen to Jeff. They have a better chance of listening to you two gentlemen and your army. The task that is put before us is to get this WHA resolution passed with India's Ministry of Health, the support of the governors and everybody, and we need to get this done. So the question to you gentlemen, with this story of World Health Assembly resolution on folic acid, how do you two propose to help make it happen? I am 10,000 miles away. I'm a useless pediatric neurosurgeon in Orlando. Jeff is in Birmingham, Alabama. It's your job, it's our problem. How do you two propose we get it done? Thank you, sir.
Through him, we have to escalate this information to the President of India and the Prime Minister of India, and to the one letter to the Health Minister at the state level, at the national level. So that at least if you send from each club, because we have 90 clubs from our side, and I can escalate to other district governors nominee. There are nearly 44 district governor nominees in India and Nepal. So through them we can send the letters to the concerned Prime Minister of India, so that everybody, so the Rotary International and Lions International, they are very particular about the eradication of the Spina Bifida, at least they will know. So that we can do, sir. So that we have to prepare one, we have to draft one letter addressing to them through district collector, so that the things will happen in future.
Very nice. Friends, did you hear that? All of you are part of a letter he's writing to the President and Prime Minister of India. So look how much energy you're giving him. Ramesh Garu?
What I feel is we'll reduce today's deliberations on paper and get the signatures of all the doctors and who has addressed today's.
Okay.
And that paper, let's hand over to DMHO, District Collector. Right from here, we'll start this. So this kind of workshop we have conducted today here. Okay. So this many students have participated. This is a burning problem we are having. And if we submit that memorandum to the District Collector of Visakhapatnam, Visakhapatnam and Srikakulam districts, Visakhapatnam and Visakhapatnam is sufficient because Dr. Venkateswara is representing from there and here we are representing. Okay. And DMHOs of both the districts, and at least they will know actually what happened. Otherwise it will be something like a dancing in a dark light. So what I feel is, we will reduce that and we will get the signatures of all the doctors and we will submit as early as possible. Definitely it will have its own impact.
Thank you. Friends, you may or may not have noticed, I'm sure you have, the media has been here. They've been very supportive. Give the media people a hand. They're the ones that get the message. All of you are fortunate to sit here and watch all this. Our media friends take the message to all of those that couldn't come, and they'll also learn about spina bifida and folate and prevention. So with their help, this message is spreading. So I thank the media people, and hopefully what you just said, sir, they will help us accomplish with that voice. That's the next point. Now, one more point is, because when I'm looking here, what I'm seeing all from the top, friends that are thousands of feet away, there are people all the way down here. We have almost 1,500, 2,000 people here. Most of them are young, surprisingly. None of them have gray hairs. I don't see gray hairs there. So all of these are young people. I'm going to ask both of you, how do you propose we involve them? Give them the credit, give them the support, give them the ability to get this job done. Ramesh Garu, what do you think? How do we get those people to feel powerful?
I am a fan of youth and I love them a lot.
So do I.
And Mahatma Gandhi says that youth are something like a new pot, and if you pour a milk in it, it will be a milk pot, and if you pour a toddy in it, it will be a toddy pot. And whether you are
eradicate spina bifida? Say yes. Yes. Loud. Yes. So they are ready, sir.
Okay. Good job. He's ready. You're ready. Very good.
So fortunately, unfortunately, out of 50%, 23% of the people have some other diseases, like most of the non-communicable diseases. So what are the non-communicable diseases? Obesity. 23% of the people have obesity. 40% 40% of the young children have 14 years. This much burden we have. Unless you are ready for the preventive aspect, it is very difficult to control most of the diseases. So the basic problem like spina bifida, if you take folic acid fortified food, there the matter ends. If you don't, you will end up in the neurosurgery department. Out of 100 diseases, 85% of the diseases are because of the nutrition. Only 15% is because of the environment and the genetic. We cannot avoid genetic related diseases. Only thing in our hand is change the environment, that's epigenetics, and the nutrition aspect. If you closely follow 3 things only, one thing is good eating habits, good sleep for 8 hours, good exercise for minimum 40 to 30 minutes, 5 days in a week for all of you, 60 minutes for less than 14 years. So most of the diseases can be prevented.
Be more successful, and together we'll win. Venkateswara?
The first thing is that whatever information we have now, we have to prepare some small brochures or small videos,
Okay.
so that we can escalate this to most of the colleges and all the things. Second thing is we have to train some of the leaders. So training of the trainers, so that the whatever information, what are the inputs you are getting now, that should be escalated to your friends and family members, so that it is like a vicious cycle network. Ultimately, at the end, entire India, including rural and tribal areas, they should know simple fortification of the folic acid, simple modification of the diet. We can eradicate most deadly diseases like spina bifida. That information we have to send to the public, sir. Thanks.
Ramesh garu?
I believe that it is, and where there is a will, there is a way. Suppose if a blade is there, it can be used in either way, to cut a pocket or to make a surgery. So now we are having the social media as such, whether we can spoil it or whether we can make them good. It's not boasting myself. Recently I have started Instagram by saying a small quote. I never thought it will have its own impact. Today, every day, for 10 to 15 seconds, that Subhashitam, 83,000 followers, they are seeing that. Not only in India, from the entire world, all the Telugu people. So recently when I was traveling to Volvo bus, that cleaner, he asked me, sir, every day you are telling that Subhashitam, I am following that. Then I shocked a lot. The cleaner who is working from Chennai to Visakhapatnam bus, he is following that. So what I feel is, I request Anil to start a YouTube channel, especially for this spina bifida, and enroll all these youth in that and update them every day and let other people also involve them. Thereby we can start that flame and it will have that universal touch. So with that we can do it, and what I feel. So Instagram or whatever, Anil, you must take an active role in it, and definitely we will enroll all these youth and will make wonders out of this.
Looks like Anil wants to make a comment.
So as our Rameshji informed, we created Instagram and Facebook. So we will show one QR code. Please all of you scan that QR code, then you can follow us. I request to show that QR code. Thank you.
Can they scan from there and get it? What's your problem?
You will be directed to Facebook and Instagram of our social media in prevention spina bifida.
It works. Thank you so much. My last question was answered very quickly by our two panelists. Venkateswara garu said, Venkateswara garu specially mentioned that involving the youth in the operations and the essentially the higher levels of the organizations is being offered. So if you get involved, I'm sure the leaders will have you join and be a part of the Rotary or the Lions clubs. And Ramesh garu wisely said, you young people are very focused on social media and we should use that. So with those two things, I think we can make progress. I'll take a moderator's prerogative and do one thing. I'm going to ask if Jeff Blount, do you have a question or a comment for our panelists?
GAPSBIF, GAPSBIF. Okay, we all say GAPSBIF. Okay. We would welcome you. It's on Instagram. No, sorry, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, and it's on Facebook.
Thank you both for spending time with us. Jeff, come here, please. Sir, Dr. Jeff Blount, please honor our two guests with their mementos. Jeff, you can this.
Success in life depends upon two important things: vision to see the invisible opportunities and mission to solve the impossible things. Once again, I am reading it. Success in life depends upon two important things: vision to see the invisible opportunities and mission to solve the impossible things. So such a man is Dr. Jogi Bhattisapu. Now I want to exhibit his progress and future hopes about this, how he is visualizing and how he wants to implement it.
Time will be finishing shortly. I was asked to talk about the future of what we did so far and what we can see and hope to see. To me, the future looks bright, very bright. As I see all of you, I just say, wow, wow. I couldn't sleep much last night, not because I was worried about this program, which I knew was going to go well, and it has. I couldn't sleep because, like our friend and father and guru, Dr. Abdul Kalam used to tell us, Annapurna and I have had the pleasure of, and the good fortune of spending a lot of time with Appa, a lot of time with him. You know, and Abdul Kalam used to say, dreams are not what you get in sleep. They're what keep you awake at night, thinking about a problem, hoping, praying, working hard. And that's what I was doing, thinking about all this. Not today's program, this will be done. Working about how do we help with the mission, how do we make India's spina bifida issue go away. Just imagine with me, friends, just imagine, okay? When I was your age, 40 years ago, I have a lot of gray hairs, I'm old. About 40 years ago, when I was sitting, I was also imagining, what is my future going to be like? What is the future like? You'll all be around in 2050, 2060, 2070, all that. Just think, friends, just think. When I was your age, we didn't have color television. We didn't have microwaves. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have internet. Oh my God. No Instagram, no Twitter. That was what I grew up with. No, barely CT scans, MRI scans. Now look at the future. That's what we are present. Your future, 20 years from now, will be so different, so much better, so much more beautiful, and so much more enjoyable because of the foundations by our forefathers that you know. Just imagine if you take away this issue of spina bifida. Imagine if there's no problems with cancer, bad injuries, etc., etc. How much money we could save, how much trouble, time, energy we would have saved. Friends, can you imagine if we didn't have to spend all that money taking care of children and other people, we could use it to pay your tuition. Can you imagine your school being free? That's how it happens in the West. In the West, we don't waste that much money for preventable things. So they use it on roads and bridges and colleges, etc. And you're at that stage where the future is in your hands with your involvement and your support, your energy, and if you join Ramesh Garu and Venkateswar Garu and other doctors who spoke today, the future is in your hands, and I see it very brightly. What I see in front of me is an ocean, a beautiful ocean. Part of it's blue, but I see an ocean, not the Bay of Bengal, as I'm looking in that direction. I see an ocean of bright futures. I see an ocean of dynamism, great potential. What I see is an ocean of a very, very bright future. As far as this issue is concerned, Spina Bifida and all that, I think we started very well. I think you all now are a powerhouse of information. You'll help spread the knowledge. You'll participate when somebody asks you for a project. You'll participate when they say they need help. I give credit to Anil and his army of Ramakrishna Mission volunteers. They were here till 10:30 last night getting this ready because they believe in this cause. Now you all believe in this cause. The army has multiplied. With this support, with this energy, you know, the future that I'm supposed to mention to you, you already know it. It's in your hands. It's your bright future. We will just watch you succeed. We'll watch you shine. We'll watch you reach for the stars. And we'll do very, very well. You know, we heard a lot of good science today, a lot of different aspects from the obstetric side, from the epidemiology side, from the neurosurgical side, from the NGO side, Rotaries, Lions Clubs, etc. Our principal Butcharaj Garu gave up a nice situation. I was afraid that all of you would find this program utterly boring or tired, but you all seem to be very, very focused, energetic, enthusiastic. For that, I'm very, very excited. I'm very proud to see what we have done today. I'm proud to say that you all have given us the energy. You all have given us the focus to work harder, bring you along, find the resources to involve you, educate you, if any one of you want to do this. I see in front of me people who can cure cancer. I see people in front of you who walk on Mars. I see people in front of me who find the micro problems of genetics. All that is in your hands. And we're going to watch and enjoy. You know what? I think what I've seen has filled my heart. I think I need to stop here just to say thank you one and all for coming, spending your time and energy with me, and I'm humbled. Namaskar. Raise your hand. అంతమంది ఉన్నారండి కానీ పర్వాలేదండి we live in Andhra, okay.
ఎండమూరు వీరేంద్రనాథ్ గారి విజయానికి 7 మెట్లు అని చెప్పి ఒక పుస్తకం రాస్తూ దాంట్లో ఒక ఇంగ్లీష్ నవల్లో తెలుగు తర్జమా చేశాడు. నేను అనేక సభల్లో ఇదే చెప్తుంటాను. అందులో రాసింది ఆయన చెప్తాడు, ఇది మీ హృదయ డైరీలో రాసుకోండి అని చెప్పి. 2022 డైరీలో రాస్తే జనవరి ఫిబ్రవరి డైరీ రాస్తాం, తర్వాత చాకలపతికి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. అది హృదయ డైరీలో రాస్తే శాశ్వతంగా ఉంటుంది. అది ఆ మాటలు ఆయన తెలుగులో ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చేసి రాసినవి. ఆ దారి వెంబడి నేను వెళ్తూ ఉంటాను. ఆ దారిలో కనపడిన ప్రతి మనిషిని చిరునవ్వుతో పలకరిస్తాను. ప్రతి చెట్టును తాకుతాను. ప్రతి పుష్పాన్ని చూసి ఆనందిస్తాను. ఇక్కడ పుష్పాన్ని చూసి కోయడు, అక్కడ పుష్పాన్ని చూసి ఆనందిస్తాడు. పుష్పాన్ని చూసి ఆనందించడం ప్రేమ, పుష్పాన్ని కొయ్యడం కామం. ఈ రోజుల్లో మనకి మీడియాలో కూడా మరో ప్రేమోన్మాది దాడి అన్నప్పుడు మనకు దక్కకపోతే యాసిడ్ దాడి చేయాలేమో అని అనుకుంటే ఇంకోటి చేస్తున్నాడు. అది ప్రేమ కాదు, అది కామం. ప్రేమ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు నాకు దక్కకపోయినా వాళ్ళు ఆనందంగా ఉండాలనుకుంటారు. సో ప్రతి పుష్పాన్ని తాకుతాను, ప్రతి మొక్కకు నీరు పోస్తాను. నా సహాయం అడిగిన ప్రతి వ్యక్తికి నాకు చేతనైన సహాయం నేను చేస్తాను. ఎందుకు అంటే మరలా ఆ దారి వెంబడి వచ్చే అవకాశం నాకు లేదు కాబట్టి. అద్భుతమైన మాట అదే ఆకరణ. ఆ దారి వెంబడి వచ్చే అవకాశం నాకు లేదు కాబట్టి అంటే ఆ దారి వెంబడి వచ్చే అవకాశం నాకు లేదు అంటే మళ్ళీ జన్మంటూ ఉంటుందో లేదో మనకు తెలియదు. ఒకవేళ ఉంటే ఇలా మనిషి జన్మ ఎత్తుతామో లేదో తెలియదు. ఒకవేళ జన్మ ఎత్తినా ఇట్లాంటి అదృష్టవంతుల జాబితాలో పుడతామో లేదో తెలియదు. ఒకవేళ పుట్టినా మళ్ళీ జోగి గారు ఇలాంటి వాళ్ళంతా కలిసి మళ్ళీ మనం ప్రయాణం చేస్తామో లేదో తెలియదు. సో మళ్ళీ జన్మంటూ ఉండదు కాబట్టి ఆ దారి వెంబడి వచ్చే అవకాశం నాకు లేదు కాబట్టి ఉన్న జన్మను పూర్తిగా ఆనందించాలి అంటే అబ్దుల్ కలాం గారు చెప్పినట్లుగా కళలు కనండి, కళలు కనండి, కళలు ఆలంబనగా చేసుకుని ఆలోచనలకు రెక్కలు పెడుతుంది. ఆ ఆలోచనలే మీ వాస్తవిక కార్యాచరణకు పునాదులు అవుతాయటండి. ఒక పెద్ద కళ కనండి ఈరోజు నేను. ఎందుకంటే మనం అనుకుంటున్నాం జీవితం అంటే ఇది అది అని చెప్పి ఫెయిర్ అండ్ లవ్లీ రావడం లేదు. మొక్క మీద చిన్న చిరునవ్వు అంటే ఫెయిర్ అండ్ లవ్లీ రాసినట్టు ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. సో ఎప్పుడు ఆ చిరునవ్వుతో వ్యక్తులను పలకరించండి. ప్రకృతి ప్రసాదించింది మనిషికి ఒక్కడికే నవ్వే అవకాశం, మాట్లాడే అవకాశమే. నవ్వండి. నాకు వాళ్ళకి పడుతున్న నవ్వు ముఖం చిట్లించుకోకండి. అలాగే వాడు వేరే పార్టీ నా పార్టీ అని చెప్పి మాటలు మానేయకండి. ఇవి రెండు చేయండి. ఇవి రెండు చేయడం ఎందుకంటే జీవితం అనేది కన్ను తెరిస్తే జననం, కన్ను మూస్తే మరణం. రెప్పపాటే కదా ఈ పైన అనుకుంటారు. ఈ రెప్పపాటు పైన మనం రెపరెపలు ఆడిపోతుంటాం. ఆ రెపరెపలు ఆడిపోయి మనం ఏదైతే ఊహిస్తుంటాం. ఒక్కడి మట్టికి గుర్తించుకోండి, ముఖేష్ అంబానీ చచ్చిపోయినా, ముష్టివాడి చచ్చిపోయినా కాల్స్తే శ్మశానంలో వచ్చేది చాటెడ్ బూడిదే. సో ఆ బూడిద కింద పోకూడదు. భావితరాలకి విభూతి కింద కావాలి అంటే నీ అడుగుజాడలు కొన్ని మిగిల్చాలి. సో అడుగుజాడలు ఈరోజు అమెరికా నుంచి అక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చి వాళ్ళ అడుగుజాడలు మిగిల్చడం కోసం మనకు వచ్చారు కాబట్టి ఆ అడుగుజాడల బాటల్లో నడవలసిన బాధ్యత మన మీద ఉంది. ఇజ్ ఇట్ నాట్? సే ఎస్ ఆర్ నో. గట్టిగా. థ్యాంక్ యూ. నౌ ఇప్పుడు డాక్టర్ హైగ్రీవ్ గారిని వచ్చి మీ అందరినీ ఎస్ అన్నారు కాబట్టి ఇప్పుడు ప్రతిజ్ఞ చేయాలి. ప్రామిసరీ నోట్ మీద సంతకం పెట్టినట్టు ఇది. ఓకే, ఆయన చెప్తారు, మనం అందరూ లేచి నిలబడి ఆ ప్రతిజ్ఞ చేద్దాం.
Speaking about this particular problem, and you must have come to a reasonable idea. You must have got a reasonable idea, and finally, the program, as it is going to come to an ending, you think it is an ending? No, it's just a beginning. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but miles to go before we sleep. In this regard, I request all of you to take an oath to say loud at the loudest possible the sound should come out of your lungs, not just from the tip of your tongue. Please go ahead. All repeat. Today is a good day and we'll learn many things because of new knowledge. I will review what I learned. I will discuss with my friends. I will spread the knowledge. I will beware of my food intake. I will develop and maintain healthy habits. I will do my part to help this effort. Thank you, men and women, boys and girls, and I promise I will repeat again. I will take folic acid and multivitamins to prevent spina bifida and other birth defects. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon to all. So we have entered the afternoon from the morning. I appreciate all the energy and enthusiasm in you. Still your voices are as loud and clear as they were in the beginning of this meet. Thank you one and all. Dear students, all the participants, it is only because of you that today's program has become a wonderful success. It is now a privilege for me to stand in front of you and propose vote of thanks. At the first and outset, I thank all of you, each and every individual of you who have participated from various schools, colleges, institutions, including our own Andhra Medical College, nursing colleges and other colleges. Friends, You have been hearing Dr. Jeffrey Brown, who has come all the way from United States. Also Dr. Jogi Patisapu and Madam Dr. Annapurna. These are the guests who have come all the way, spent all their time, not the time they have spent here. It is the time they have been planning for days together, months and years together. They have been working on this same problem for years together, and they have been planning on this for past few months. And I also thank our Ramesh Rajugaru, the Lions, and Dr. Venkateswara Garu, pediatrician from Rotary, Vijayanagaram. They also have come from far off places exclusively to see and address to all of you. And also sitting amidst you very calmly, quietly, but with all inquisitiveness, hearing and appreciating the entire proceeding is Mrs. Usha Raju, also a lioness. Friends, apart from these speakers, we have our Principal of Andhra Medical College, Professor Buchiraj Garu, our own Department of Neurosurgery, Dr. Premjit Ray, Professor and Head of the Department, Dr. Haigriv Rao, Dr. Rajsekhar Kennedy, and our postgrad students, Dr. Prashant and Archit, who have been actually involved in this work, traveling to all the villages to distribute this salt and take the data, and all our staff nurses from the department and also the research academic cell. I thank each and every one, and also the Department of Pharmacy and Dr. Ishwar Garu, though he cannot come up, he has been a person of pivotal role in arranging all these things. And above all, Mr. Madhunarayan. You might be wondering who is this Madhunarayan. He is none other than Mr. Anil. Anil, I request you to come, and his team, especially our Mahesh and all the photography and this audio visual, and also our print and electronic media. See, what we have been discussing, what we have been seeing is only within these four walls, as Dr. Jogi has told. But the same message has to be taken to those public who are not here, who could not attend this. So this can be done only through the press and electronic media, and I sincerely thank each and every one of them also. So with this, I take this privilege, and friends, I am sure Dr. Ramesh Raj Gari ప్రసంగం మీ అందరినీ చాలా ఉత్తేజపరిచింది అనడానికి నాకు ఏమాత్రం అనుమానం లేదు. ఎందుకంటే ఆయన కోట్స్, ఆయన సుభాషితాలు రోజు ఒకరు చెప్తూ ఉంటారు. నేను కూడా ఫాలో అవుతాను. మీరు ఎవరైనా టెలిగ్రామ్లో ఉంటే అది చూడొచ్చు. ఆయన చెప్పినట్టు ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అయిపోయినప్పుడు ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ కెన్ కరెక్ట్ యువర్ సర్టిఫికేట్ అండ్ ఆల్సో ద స్నాక్స్. అండ్ వన్ హంబుల్ రిక్వెస్ట్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ ఈజ్, రేపు 12, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14th of August, that is Friday, Saturday and Sunday, we are conducting a national conference. Just imagine a national conference being conducted by neurosurgeons across the country. We have got invited guests from across the globe also, some speakers. So all of us will be discussing on how to prevent, all of you know, especially the youngsters, every minute one accident is taking place, every 4 minutes one death is taking place because of the road traffic accidents. We have to prevent them. And unfortunately, in spite of lot of effort by various doctors, many nursing homes, whether government or public or private or corporate hospitals, you know, every ICU is occupied by the victims of road traffic accidents. Students, it is you. Because we have been observing most of the students ki parents ఏం చేస్తారు, the moment you join the college మన పిల్లలు కష్టపడకూడదు, పాప కానీ బాబు కానీ స్కూల్కి కాలేజీకి వెళ్ళాలంటే బైక్ కొనిస్తారు. యూజ్ దెమ్ అప్రోప్రియేట్లీ. నో స్పీడ్ డ్రైవింగ్, టేక్ ప్రాపర్ ప్రికాషన్స్. ఇవి లేకుండా accidents may not happen because of our mistakes, they may happen because of mistakes of others also. If we cannot save in ICUs, such people are becoming brain dead. Students, it is the youth, it is you to understand this. దెబ్బ తగిలి చిన్న మైనర్ యాక్సిడెంట్తో బయటపడడం వేరు, సీరియస్ ఇంప్లికేషన్ జీవోత్సవంలో మంచానికి పరిమితి ఉండడం వేరు. మనకి ఏ స్పైనల్ కార్డ్ ఇంజరీవో సివియర్ బ్రెయిన్ ఇంజరీ వచ్చి మంచం మీద పడుకుంటే జీవితాంతం తల్లి లేకపోతే మన పిల్లలు కూడా సేవ చేయడానికి ఎవరు ముందుకు రావట్లేదు. ఈ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ అన్ని, ఆల్ దీస్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు డిస్కస్ ఇన్ అవర్ న్యూరో ట్రామా. అండ్ టు ప్రివెంట్ ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్, ద పూర్ అన్ఫార్చునేట్ విక్టిమ్స్ whom we are unable to save in ICUs, if they are brain dead, they still can live in others' bodies. That is the concept of organ donation. On this organ donation concept and prevention of head injuries, we are conducting a public awareness program on Sunday. Sunday andarki khali untundi. Sunday morning 6 o'clock, Ramakrishna Beach, Kali Temple దగ్గర. I request all of you to please come, join that awareness program. Just walk for a couple of meters and encourage this and spread this message of organ donation, prevention of road traffic accidents. We will be providing t-shirts, snacks and water. It is not these things. It is the motto. It is our concern towards the promotion of organ donation and prevention of road traffic accidents. So I request all of you to join us August 14th morning 6 o'clock Kali Temple. Thank you. Thank you one and all.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विराम सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे